And a very good morning. It is 30 minutes past 4 o'clock. This is the bridge, Paytonsville Road, Goose Creek Bypass Bridge that crosses over Interstate 65 northbound and southbound. We had a tanker truck explode on this bridge just a short time ago. This from the iReport 2 network. And this is going to be a major problem this morning, as right now the interstate is closed in both directions. We'll show you some pictures. We hopefully will have a live picture for you shortly, and we'll also map out some alternates for you this morning, as this will be a long-term situation when that type of fire hits a bridge, especially one under construction like this one or newly constructed. They're going to have to check out the integrity of that bridge after they get the fire out, but the fire is still going this morning.
And that's a backup anyway.
Yeah,
every morning.
Because of the construction that's going on down there. So yeah, we have a major league problem, and we want to get the word out to the folks that are on the south side coming in from Columbia, the Spring Hill area, moving north into the Franklin area as much as possible as we go through the morning. But this is the area that we're talking about, right at the Goose Creek bypass, right there. That's the Ag Center where the fair was just last week. So the deal is, with northbound and southbound lanes shut down, you're looking at either taking 840 over to Columbia Pike, moving over to Carter's Creek Pike, or actually sliding over to Arno Road here and moving to the north that way. If you're coming in heading south, it's just basically the same scenario, but use Murfreesboro Road 96 to do your cutover to Lewisburg Pike, Columbia Pike, and go that way. If you have any pictures or video, we would appreciate being able to share it with the audience to let everyone know what's going on. Just send it to PIX@WKRN.com. If you have the app on your phone, it's really easy to do. Of course, we are also putting continuing coverage online at WKRN.com and on our Facebook page. Just search WKRN-TV. Bethany Anderson also moving to the scene, and we're going to monitor traffic on both sides of this situation through the morning as well. We have a live picture now. Let's go to that with the first alert unit. Jerry has moved into a better position. You're looking at the bridge structure up top. You can see the outline, the shadowing, and the fire. And then below, that is the grass surrounding Interstate 65. Jerry, much better picture of what's happening here. I know there's also a lot of construction equipment down in this area. Is that a piece of construction equipment that we're looking at in the center of your picture, or what's left of the truck?
In the center of the picture, yes, that appears to be one of the pieces of equipment. But if you look to the right, you see those small flames coming up. That, from what we're told from witnesses out here, is part of the tanker. They say that they were here. They didn't actually see the crash, but they heard it. He said as soon as he turned around, he looked up. He said it was just a fireball, went 200 or 300 feet up in the air and stretched for probably 100 yards down the interstate. And that's where you see those flames. Those flames are actually, what we're being told from witnesses, is fuel that is burning. There is no grass there burning under the bridge. That is fuel that's burning through there from this tanker truck that we can't see the trailer, or the tractor part of it anyway, but part of the trailer is still there. It is right up against one of the supports under the bridge, and there was some confusion in the beginning. We thought that it was reported that the bridge, it may have been on the bridge, but the fire was so big it consumed the entire bridge. You know, they're doing the construction where they're building the new bridge. It consumed the wood structures of that. That's where you see a lot of the smoke still coming up to the left side of the picture. Witnesses said you could hear it cracking and popping and falling down on the interstate as it burned. The intensity, the flames were going up into the high power lines that just go right across the interstate here. Just a very, very large fire. They said it was incredible to see. They said once it hit, the fire just spread for 100 yards or more down the interstate, and that's what you see, and then it just enveloped the interstate. The flames were so big. So very, very frightening situation for people here. We're told there was nobody on the bridge or crossing over. As you can imagine what that would have been like to have that happen under you. But it does appear that you see on the very right side of the screen is part of the tanker itself, which only looks to be maybe a half to two-thirds of it. So that kind of makes us believe that it may have actually just ripped in half at some point when it crashed. If it did crash or whatever happened, we're not sure if it hit that support or if it hit guardrails or what. We're trying to see what is down there that it could have hit. Of course, being this dark and this far away, it's hard to tell, but hopefully we're going to be able to find out some more details.
Okay.
We are getting better pictures here now, but very, very scary situation out here this morning.
Jerry, I've zoomed in on your live picture of that part you were talking about just to show folks whereabouts it was in relation to the rest of the construction equipment. So that's what you see say is what's left over of the truck. This is just some of the construction equipment. We have kind of three things that we're working right here. Of course, the fate of the driver is of utmost concern at this point. Secondary is going to be 65 for this morning commute, shut down northbound, southbound. This is going to be a major headache. And finally is the fact that this construction project now looks to have a major league setback at the Goose Creek bypass, which has been going on for so long, because not only do you have the construction material that was there in place working on it, but how far of a setback do we have as far as compromising the structure with all that heat? And when it was burning, it was very intense. Any pictures that you may have or video, PIX at WKRN, we certainly do appreciate it.
Good morning, Neil. We haven't heard anything from police at this point. We are still working to hear them. And like you just mentioned, there's going to be a media briefing in about 30 minutes. But we have found some people who actually witnessed the explosion from this parking lot. They pulled over to rest, and that's when this happened. Probably a good thing for them. It probably saved them. Lonnie Spears is over here. And Lonnie, I understand that you were traveling to Georgia when this happened. What did you see?
Well, we didn't see anything really major at first. What we heard was several large explosions. Probably the first one was the impact of the tanker, and then two successive explosions. When we looked out of the vehicle, we saw this entire area was just engulfed in flames. We really couldn't see anything other than just the fire. As a matter of fact, we thought it was a building that was on fire. It was so large. So we left the parking lot, walked over to where a law enforcement officer had just pulled up, asked him what had happened. He told us about the tanker, and then we walked on down the exit ramp so that we could actually see what was going on, where we could see the wreckage from the truck itself. There's also some construction equipment that was in the area that was on fire, and we saw the bridge actually melting. You could see the concrete falling from the bridge, and the sparks of and debris literally coming off of the bridge itself.
So have you ever seen anything like this, and are you grateful that you pulled off before this happened?
Absolutely. That's one of the first things my wife and I said, is that we're just very glad that we didn't have that happen. I mean, it's obvious that at this time of morning, you can be very tired, and accidents like this are very sad.
Okay, well, thank you so much, Lion. Like he mentioned, that bridge starting to melt steel there, and I can tell you, Neil, I've been covering the construction of this bridge for many, many months now, where they've actually had to do those rolling roadblocks. So it would be interesting to see what TDOT is going to say about this bridge, what they're going to do to divert traffic, because getting from point A to point B, having to loop around 65 can take a lot of time. You're having to use those back roads. But again, these are questions that we're working on getting answered this morning, and hopefully we'll have more information from the Franklin Police Department coming up in the next 30 minutes or so. Reporting live in Williamson County, Bethany Anderson, Nashville's News 2.
Bethany, thank you so much. And I noticed that Lonnie had that phone in his hand while he was talking to you. I bet on that phone he has some pretty incredible pictures as he was there right when this thing started. So I know Bethany, I know she's asked. That is the tanker truck, and you can see the hole that basically blew out the side of the tanker. Most of the truck looks to have disintegrated and burnt. I don't even know where the cab of the truck is. Maybe at home you can see it better than I can here at the studio monitors there, but it looks like the cab of the truck is also obliterated. We are curious. Let's go to the Franklin Police Department right now. We want to find out some information. Here we go.
Together to determine exactly how we proceed from here.
Yeah, one of the things that a lot of folks as they're waking up are going to be wondering is, how am I going to get around? Do you have any best advice for folks?
That's a great question, and the only way that they're really going to be able to get around at this point are going to be other north-south roadways like Columbia Avenue, Lewisburg Pike. But the fact is that people need to expect some significant delay. Because we can't get any cars up or down the interstate, and we don't feel at this point that it's safe to get them under the overpass, we've had to close it. And so all of the traffic that is extremely congested during rush hour is going to have to be diverted onto these secondary roads. And so motorists need to plan way ahead. They need to know that if they don't get up and get going now, there's a good likelihood that they're going to be late for work.
Can you confirm that there was a fatality or not in this situation?
We do have one confirmed fatality at this point. We're working to determine, if there may or may not have been anyone else in the vehicle, but we do know that at least one person has died.
So you're talking about the truck vehicle, not like an additional vehicle?
We don't know at this point. All I was told from the scene by emergency workers down there is that there is one confirmed fatality. We were just able to get close enough to this wreckage to take a look at that and be able to confirm that. And so they're still looking at this scene with a very broad scope, trying to safely get close enough to get more information so we can get it to you.
Sergeant Warner, one of the things that I noticed whenever we got here this morning, and we got here right about 4:30, so not long after this started, we were kept a good distance from the fire, and we could feel the heat coming off of that. Are there any concerns for some of the crews, water crews, first responders, as far as that goes?
You know, our emergency management people are here along with our firefighter hazmat folks. They know how to let us do our job while they keep us safe. And so we're deferring a lot of these safety questions and issues to them, so emergency workers on the ground down there are able to get close enough to get this contained. Middle Tennessee Electric has just arrived, and they are assessing whether or not the power lines above where this fire was may or may not have been compromised. So there's still a lot of things in the works, and I should have a whole lot more information within the next 45 minutes.
Okay, so we can expect to talk to you then.
Yes.
And in the meantime, just everybody be advised that if you are waking up in this general area or if you have to travel through here, plan some extra time for that.
Absolutely.
What's the idea on the time frame in which this scene will be cleared, or at least open up the interstate, at least the one lane or something?
What I was told just prior to coming up here is that this entire area, this entire juncture will be shut down for the foreseeable future. We cannot move vehicles across or under this bridge until engineers are able to determine that it's not been compromised and is actually safe for vehicles to travel over and under.
What is the status of the bridge right now? I mean, I understand you have an engineer
We don't know, and that's why they're here. The bridge had to be closed. Emergency responders aren't even traveling over it because of the concern both above and below. I mean, we've got workers below there, so the last thing we're going to do is put any additional weight. We don't want to put anybody traveling on the bridge in danger, and we certainly don't want to put responders that are directly under it at risk.
From what you've been able to see, are they letting a lot of this burn itself out? I mean, are they even able to get water on some of it?
They have substances, and I'm not exactly sure if it's water or foam, but they do have substances that they're able to contain this fire. You'll see still small fires burning, but that's because they're trying to make sure that none of the substance from in that tanker will be washed into a storm drain. And so the safest thing that they can do is now that the fire danger has passed, they're going to let whatever smaller fires are around that area continue to burn until they can get some water experts to determine if we're going to be washing substances into storm drains.
This has been such a big part of the construction, the building, the revitalization here of this town. Just from a local perspective, what does this mean for those efforts?
Obviously, it's discouraging, the fact that there is so much construction here. We feel the same travel pains that everyone else does during this improvement. We know that the end result is going to be easier commutes for everyone. We don't know whether or not this is going to impact that. We certainly know it's going to impact it, though, for today.
We look at it from a different angle. We've moved one of the first alert units over to the other side, and Jerry Barler providing us this picture, and you can see the charring that happened. This is the side of the bridge that was under construction, and you can see all the steel, the rebar that was going in, and that was all covered in wood structure at one point, and that has all been consumed by this blaze. And Jerry, you've seen both sides of this. We have sunlight on it. Kind of bring us up to date on what you're seeing out here on the interstate.
Well, we can see the charred metal. We can see the ashes where they've fallen across the street from the pieces of wood structure you were talking about. We can actually now see, if you see that group of firefighters standing there, that appears to be what is left of the tractor or the cab part of the truck where the driver was. But let me tell you what we're witnessing right now. We've seen a couple more little explosions from those fires on top of the bridge, but we just heard a very loud pop that sounded like one of these steel beams. We're not sure if it's starting to break loose or if it's just now cooling. You know how when the steel will expand and contract, that loud pop. I can tell you there are no firefighters under the bridge at this point. They have been able to extinguish the fire that is down below, but they are not underneath the bridge. There's no one on the bridge, and there was some fear and some talk of possibly these things starting to break or be compromised at some point, and we heard actually what we thought might be that. It was a very, very loud noise. It sounded like one of those steel structures starting to pop or to twist, or something of that nature. So a lot of concern there, but those firefighters are focusing their efforts now around the cab of that truck where we understand the driver did perish, and as you can see the fire out, but you can now with the daylight you can just see how intense these flames were. The everything is charred. The metal, the concrete supports underneath, just covered in black soot from this fuel that was burning here. And then on the northbound lanes is where we have all the debris that has fallen from those wood structures. Just a line across it, probably 10, 20 foot wide across both lanes of traffic going in that direction. We're not sure if any steel or concrete fell on that side or if it was just the wood. So that would be something I'll have to look at. But like you said earlier, this bridge could be shut down all day, and who knows how long, especially on the southbound lanes with this being compromised so long with such an intense heat and fire. So that is something we have seen several TDOT crews out here, people walking across the top of the bridge to a point where they felt safe to try to look at the structure, and people walking underneath where they feel safe. A lot of the construction crew is out here as well, starting to look at equipment and things like that where they can get close enough to look at it. But a very, very serious situation still going on with the integrity of this bridge being possibly compromised at this point.
We have video from right after this happened. You can see the initial explosion just kind of coming up over the edge of the bridge. That is the new construction side of the bridge, and that is all the wood scaffolding and the molds going up in flames instantaneously with the initial explosion. Incredible stuff from the iReport 2 network. We spoke with the man who shot this video a short time ago. Here's what he said.
Driving north on the 65 freeway, and the sky lit up like daytime. And I knew something bad was going on. When I got to Paytonsville Road, the whole southbound side was just on fire. All the grass and even the bridge itself was on fire. I couldn't see what actually blew up because it was that bad. So I drove past it as fast as I could.
Okay, that is iReporter Tony Trombo. That shot that, and obviously he was on the way to the airport and submitted that to the iReport 2 network through PIX at WKRN.com. Jerry Barler has been with us. Jerry, I'm getting questions now from our viewers. They want to know, one, is the northbound ramp from Paytonsville Road to 65 open this morning?
Yes, it is. If you come Paytonsville Road here by the TA truck stop, you can get on going northbound towards Nashville. So that is some relief for people if they can make it that far. If there's a back road, if you can get over to Paytonsville Road, come up to the interstate, you can get on going northbound. Any other direction, no way. The only thing that has changed really since we talked to you last time, Neil, is that, there are people that have been stuck between Paytonsville Road and Highway 96 back up in Franklin. Those people have been parked on the interstate. They were trying to turn some of them around, but just with the amount of trucks that drive this road during the middle of the night, there was no way to get everybody around. They have now allowed a lot of those people to go ahead and exit over the ramp, get back on the interstate on the other side. The accident scenes here. So that is good news for the people that have been stuck there on the interstate now for going on some 3 hours, standing on the interstate behind this crash. Now we have, in the live picture, electrical crews here checking these power lines. There were high-tension power lines going across the interstate. We're told flames were reaching up into those lines. They actually even appeared to be point. So they're now checking the integrity of those lines to see if they are stable enough to go ahead and use. We're not sure if it cut power out to anybody or if there are any power outages due to that, but they are checking those now. You can see that live here as we do this report.
We're putting information, but you're actually putting information too. A lot of folks down in this area are jumping on our Facebook pages and onto our Twitter feeds to let us know alternates from folks that are on the inside that know all these back roads. So before you leave your home, this is the Twitter account on the Franklin Police Department. Guys, if you could click on the picture, if you want to roll down a little bit, they posted a picture right there. If you could click on that picture and click on it one more time, take it full for me. Okay, that's as large as it gets. That's a close-up view of the cab of the truck. And this is the investigation that's just beginning. The fatal reconstruction team, and this is what they have to work with. This is going to be ongoing. But it actually hit so hard that the cab of the truck went over the barrier into the area where traffic is not permitted right now. That's off the road. The tanker, which you can kind of see where the sun is coming up behind that bridge pillar, that's where the tanker was. I think that's the first picture that gives us a good idea of the distance between the cab of the truck and the actual back of the truck where the fuel was being carried at this point. We have new video for you. This is from one of the truck stops. This is the initial explosion happening around the bridge. You can see we're off a little bit in the distance. It is pixelated somewhat, but as we get it more into focus, you can see the tremendous amount of fire that came with the initial explosion of the tanker. I mean, this is right after it happened, and when we re-cue the video and start it over again, this is basically someone that heard the loud crash, turned around, raised their phone, and started rolling. And that is from the gas station, and that's a pretty good distance away. I mean, not too far. You know the exit, but that is just how high the flames were shooting out over. That's the new section of the bridge on the south side, and basically the fuel looks like it kind of went both directions when it hit, and the flames basically coming up from there. The fire was on the new section of the bridge, on the wood scaffolding and molding that had been put up.
They are letting you use the exit ramps to get on and off of 65, but be prepared to wait because we can still see traffic over here on 65 heading north for about a couple of miles or so, and that could only increase as more and more people make their way into Nashville or to other parts on 65, Cool Springs, that sort of area.